You're on.
Okay, it is 6:31 p.m. We are going to call the meeting to order, and we will do a quorum call. And in the future, can you do the fancy schmancy with the members? So we can
yeah.
for notes and stuff? So I'm not sure who.
I only do it on yours and mine, but yeah. I can.
Okay. So we have Melissa Hadley is present. We have John Crickmer, who is present. We have Pedro Orduno. And we have Stephen Groover. We have a quorum. Yes? All right, let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that's item 2.
Do you want one of these, Vicky?
I have one right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, item 3. Discuss and or possible action on adopting Robert's Rules of Order as the parliamentary procedure utilized by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I'm going to let Ken Roberts is here to kind of guide us through some of these things, so I'm going to let him run with that one.
This one is nothing more than the most generally accepted way to run a meeting. You don't need to study the manual. We got that for you. And as long as it runs with a degree of civility, you really never have to bring the book into play. I don't know, but of one place I've worked where you needed more than the book. You needed a ball bat. But this one works. Why reinvent the wheel?
It does, and there's a number of tools online if you're really interested in kind of how the motions work. You'll hear us sometimes up here during the regular meeting. We think we're moving on to something, and the lawyer says, "Hang on a minute, we already had a motion on the table." We have to pull that one. You know, there's just certain procedures you have to follow, and some motions supersede other motions. Anyway, if you're really interested, there's plenty online to read about that.
Is that the same procedure that rules you having to have a quorum of
Yes.
3 or more?
Well, the
Well,
quorum
quorum
piece of it is the
state.
Yeah.
Texas Open Meetings Act.
Oh,
Yeah, so in this case, for any regular meeting, it's going to take at least 3 to attend the meeting. If you have 4, even better. In the case of a special meeting, it's going to take 4 for anything to be voted on.
What's the total number of members?
Well, I thought we had 5, didn't we? We only have 4?
Okay.
Who's our missing person?
Mr. Portman? Joe
Joe Portman from Alamo. Okay. And in this book here, you will see the ordinance that creates the commission. And I think down here it talked about we chose 5, yes. All appointments, members. Everyone serves for 2 years, except noted below.
Oh, there's no limitation. Oh, the number of terms.
I don't think it says in here how many.
Yeah, it does in there somewhere.
I thought it did too.
They can have
Members
more
shall be
than 5.
nominated by the mayor or a member of the council. And all appointments are for 2 years. In terms of 2 members and 3 members. So it is for 5. If you read item D under section 3,
D3?
yeah, it says the terms of 2 members shall expire during that year and the term of 3 members shall expire in the next year. So it is 5. Okay.
Well, and then there's not a number up on A, but it says the commission, which shall consist of 5 members, which shall be persons owning property in this city and registered voters.
5 members, there it is right there. Okay. And you confirm that each of these people here at the table own property in the city?
You have to
Hey.
be a registered voter as well?
No,
Yes, you are
you do have to
supposed
be a
to be.
registered voter and you have to own property.
Does everyone
Everyone owns property and is a
is
registered
a
voter?
registered voter? Okay, because I didn't check that
Now,
part of it.
Joe Portman, he owns property here, He does
I
not
don't
have to be a
know.
registered voter here.
As long as he is
He,
a registered.
he is a registered.
Oh, okay, not
Okay,
in.
not in here, no. But he owns land in the city,
yeah.
yes. Okay, so, I think we kind of got, I'd like to have moved 5 up before 3, but that's okay. So, what I'll do is I will ask for a motion to adopt Robert's Rule of Orders as the parliamentary procedure. So if anyone would like to make that motion, and you have to say it.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Robert's Rules of Order as a parliamentary procedure.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Crickmer to adopt Robert's Rules of Order as the parliamentary procedure. Do we get a second?
A second.
Okay, Melissa Hadley seconds. And the last piece of that is I need a show of hands of all who are in favor. And that would be unanimous. Okay. So we'll go on to, I want to go to item 5 before 4. So item 5 is discuss and or possible action on nominating and appointing a chairperson. So I am only here in a ceremonial capacity. This is y'all's commission. So we will take nominations for who is going to be the chair, who's going to lead the meetings. So we'll be looking for a chair, and we'll also be looking for a vice chair. So we'll do the chair position first. So this is kind of what you would be doing. You would be coordinating with Catherine in some respect for getting the final agenda posted, but working with your own secretary. Did we come up with that? We didn't put that on here. So we'd be
I
looking.
think that can fall under number 4 regarding procedures for meetings and minutes.
True, okay. So you would have to get together, determine how frequently you're going to meet, post the agenda, gather the items. You have the resources here available, whether it be Ken Roberts or Catherine or myself, any council member, anyone who's an alderman can help out. If there's certain legal questions that you think need to be answered, those could go to Ken, who would coordinate with the city attorney and get those answered for you. So, who wants to be? You want to be?
I know, I'm gonna nominate Melissa Hadley for chairperson.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Woo!
Does she accept the
Do
motion?
do
I
you
nominate
accept?
Will.
Okay.
Thank you, Melissa.
So, we have, John Crickmer has made a motion to nominate Melissa Hadley for chairperson, and Pedro Orduno has seconded that, and Ms. Hadley has accepted the nomination. So what is left, and you don't get to vote, I guess you could, is all in favor of Melissa Hadley as the chairperson? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, so on number 6, we are going to discuss on our possible action on nominating and appointing a vice chairperson. So you've heard the spiel. Who would like to make a nomination?
John, you want to be vice? You come to all the meetings, you're pretty regular.
I guess.
I would like to make a motion to nominate John as our vice chairperson.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Okay, Mr. Berger has seconded that. And John, would you accept that nomination?
Yes, I will.
Okay. So all in favor for John Crickmer as the vice chairperson, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. All right, we're making progress here, folks. Okay. So what I want to do next is I want to hand this off to Miss Hadley, and we're going to switch places, and I'm going to let her take over.
All right.
I couldn't get out of here fast enough.
Well, there goes the chair.
It's okay, I'll grab the chair.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
It is very bad.
It is. If you're not careful, it will get away from you.
Are we gonna discuss, like, what are we really gonna be doing?
Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to number 4, and we're going to talk about that. Then we'll move on to 7 and 8, and then what I offered from Ken was, let's get through the initial agenda, talk through the items we need to do. Once we adjourn, then we can talk freely.
Okay.
Because one of the challenges is when we are in session, we may only discuss what's on the agenda. So we can't veer from that. That's a violation of Texas Open Meetings Act.
Can I ask, or can any of us ask Melissa to put something on the agenda, just one of us, or does it require
Not
two
for
of
this
us?
agenda. Well, that's what
Next
we're going to talk about on the procedures, so. Okay, Melissa, you're up.
You'll have to guide me because
That's fine.
It's been
So
a
we're going to go
long
back
time.
to item number 4.
Okay. So discuss and/or possible action on establishing procedures related to committee agendas, meetings, and minutes.
Yes. Okay, so Ken, I'll let you kind of lead with how we need to address that.
Planning and zoning doesn't meet unless you have an action required.
Okay.
And that'll be a developer or a builder or someone who wants to replat, what they call vacate and replat, where you've got 2 lots. You want to put those 2 lots together to make it one. Or if there is a recommendation or a request of you to come and say, I want to change the zoning on X plot. For right now, the frequency of your meetings, I would imagine, will not be too frequent at first. Where your real meetings and once it begins to grow, because I'm truly of the belief that this town is going to grow.
Right, it is.
It is.
I think the more you see property going crazy as far as prices go, the further the development is going to come this way. And then you'll be pressed into action. I would just ask that you remember that every developer, every builder, everybody that comes to you has an agenda. Your best response if they contact you directly is, that's interesting. Because everything you say can and will be used against you. In the area of planning and zoning, you are going to play heavily in what you've heard referred to as the master plan. And there's a map over on that other wall that is the first rough draft of what zoning in this city has to be. And unless we're on top of that when we start, of which you all will play a major role, you'll find that you've got a patchwork quilt instead of a city. And I would encourage you to, I'll be with you for what it's worth, for as long as you want me to be here. And in P&Z, you play a recommendation role, but council will look to you for the expertise on that recommendation. It's seldom that council will go against a recommendation that you all put forward. But as you develop those, question the tar out of whoever brings you a dirty sock. Because if they'll bring you a dirty sock, they'll take one away. And I'm not saying that all developers are bad. I don't mean that to imply that. But everybody has an agenda, and you hold the keys as to whether or not they get that agenda accomplished.
So I would offer that this commission is not the gatekeeper per se. Just because somebody brings you something and you say, oh, I don't even think I want to talk about that. I don't think we have that option. I think everything comes to the commission and it has to be discussed. We don't want to get in a position where we're saying,
You, but not you.
exactly,
Yeah.
or the perception
Yeah, of that.
that I don't like you, so don't even talk to me. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. So, you know,
And you'll formulate an opinion, and you'll make a recommendation to council, even if your recommendation is, I'm against that.
exactly, yeah. And I think from the council's perspective, anytime there is a meeting, the council is going to want to know, to see the minutes from that meeting, so at least we have an idea of what was discussed, and what potentially we may have to take action on. So as far as item number 4 goes, what I wanted to share with you is kind of how we create agendas for city council. And it doesn't mean that's how you have to do it, but that's how we do it. So our ordinance says that any item to be brought on an agenda can be brought 2 different ways. An alderman with a co-sponsor can present an item for the agenda. And if it's presented that way, it goes on the agenda. So nobody here has the ultimate authority to say, we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
If they bring it, it goes on the agenda. And the other option is the mayor can put it on. So sometimes you'll see a lot of the items on the agenda will say that I brought them. A lot of times I am bringing them. Sometimes it's just in the interest of expediency in getting something brought. Another council member it may have been their project, but you know, I just said, don't worry about it. We'll just get it on the agenda. It saves them the trouble of having to do that. So at this point, y'all determine how you want to bring items, what procedures you want to use for creating items on your own agenda. We did talk a little bit about the meetings as far as when those are going to be. I would probably recommend, in light of no standard meeting, at least once a quarter, perhaps. It's just a way to, as you're now involved with this, I think you're going to be more in tune with different things that are happening. So you yourselves, or as you're talking with people, they're going to bring things to your attention. You know, at least once a quarter, perhaps. And Catherine's raising her hand, so yes.
According to the ordinance, meetings of the P&Z shall be held at least once a month.
That's
At the call of the chairperson or secretary, and at such other times as the P&Z may determine. If there have been no applications filed for review by the P&Z, the city secretary shall notify the chairperson, and no meeting shall be required for that month. So, okay, back to what you said. Never mind.
Wait a minute, where did you see that?
5D?
Page,
I don't know what.
5D, no wonder.
Under meetings.
One more page, sorry.
The minutes, Catherine, are you gonna write up the minutes from this? Who is?
Whoever
Right
y'all
now-
determine. The
So she
recording.
records the meeting,
Uh-huh.
and then the expectation is that somebody transcribes that, and it does not have to be word for word. It only has to be, can you get a sample of a city council meeting
Just
minutes,
bullet
just to
points.
kind of show? So she takes the agenda item, and then she just basically uses what the action outcome was.
Okay.
Unless there was some, I still listen to all the minutes,
Just in case
in
there's
case
some.
there's something that someone said that they would follow
Will
up
that be our
on, that way I can do that
secretary?
in there.
Okay.
We're gonna have a
You're gonna have to choose one.
Yeah, a secretary.
Is it in this
Yes,
group?
within your
Within the
commission.
group, okay.
Yes. So the meetings, and on some other may designate. So we did that, right?
And with the out in there, that unless you have something to talk about, you don't have to have a meeting.
And that's true with even our city council meetings. I mean, we have them scheduled every month. If we didn't have anything to talk about, we don't have to have a meeting, but you have to have a schedule of meetings. You just don't have to
Yeah.
hold the meetings. And I'm waiting on hers. Okay, so we've already then determined in here.
Another question.
Well, before
Will
we
we-
move on from there.
We're not moving.
So on the meetings, did you have a particular day? You know, does a Wednesday work for everybody, or?
Thursday's good for me. This is fine for me.
I'm
It's
good
up
with
to
Thursday.
y'all.
You're good with Thursday? How about you?
This is a sample of meetings
Is it gonna
that
conflict
our
with
last
council
one.
meetings?
No,
That's
it'll
been
have to be on a
approved.
different, you know, it could be on the
Oh,
3rd or
oh.
the 4th.
Okay.
Or
So
I
you
would
just take what
recommend
you
the
already
3rd.
had and just space it
Because I may be
and put.
gobbling up the
Yeah,
4th.
and then I tried to make it a different color only for
Third.
the ease of.
Thursday.
3rd, Thursday.
Typically, I don't know why I didn't do it this time. I
Okay,
usually
so
try
the
to get rid
3rd.
of this and just move it up. I don't know why I didn't do it that time. Yeah, but that's all I do. And then, of
At
course, if you're gonna
6:30
type them
PM?
up, it's gotta have.
Yeah, but we're waiting on the chair.
Okay.
Does it still, she types them up, they have to pass and approve them?
They have to bring them on the next agenda for approval.
Should it be then signed by her and attested by me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so Melissa, while y'all were talking, we were talking as well.
Thursday,
The 3rd Thursday of the
third
month?
Thursday. Okay.
And then John was saying 6:30?
6:30.
Okay, so,
That doesn't
3rd.
conflict with anybody's work schedule.
The only time that you may have an issue is like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
In the event of a holiday, then we usually would move it to the next day or the following week, or just not have it at all, depending on
Yeah, what it is.
what you need.
But if you move it, then that becomes a special meeting, which means that your requirement for quorum
Changes.
goes up by one.
Yeah,
Goes up.
regular meetings are 3 for a quorum. Any special meeting that is not held on a regular date, which would be the third Thursday, becomes a special meeting and requires 4 votes for anything to pass.
That's right.
And like, when is Thanksgiving? Fourth Thursday or third Thursday?
Oh, I don't
I
know.
want to say it's the fourth Thursday of the month.
I don't know.
Well,
Oh,
Are we
go
gonna
look,
be
Brooke.
talking to the engineer that's doing our plan?
Yes.
That's my
Sir.
question.
Oh,
When is he
yes.
gonna come? He was supposed to be
Well,
here today.
this
and-
is, he's not here for this because this is all procedural stuff.
Organizational.
Yeah.
I'm going to visit with him tomorrow to begin negotiating a price. And during that negotiation, I'll emphasize
Thanksgiving
how
is the
much
4th
you guys
Thursday.
have
Okay,
to be involved with him on the master plan.
So we
Okay.
will have some initial properties that probably need to be looked at. We just have a couple of things that are bubbling up right now. And that would be an excellent time, I think, for the engineer to come to the next meeting and that way y'all can introduce yourselves. He can explain kind of how the master plan fits in with all this and how planning and zoning fits in with what they're going to be doing. And so we'll make him available to you guys as well.
Would those be existing compliance issues you're talking about, properties?
No?
Oh, okay. Development?
Well, they may be, but
Development?
there's some development stuff
Okay.
that's bubbling up, so. Okay, so, meetings.
Mayor Will,
Yes, ma'am.
it also states that they don't have to hold it here, so they can.
They can hold it anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. It's
Preferably
just
Nice.
not
kind
in
of,
the
this
park.
is convenient, unless y'all have another place you want to hold it.
And that's gonna be designated by the chairperson, so they
Yes.
can do it at City Hall or any other specified location.
Or set
And just
up
so you
here.
know, this is considered a public meeting, open to the public. So, you know, we have so many guests, but we will set up chairs if you need to, you know, if you choose to have it here.
If I may,
Yes.
each of you needs to go to the Secretary of State's website.
Okay.
On that website, you will find something referred to as Training the Texas Open Meetings Act.
Catherine, can you send a link to them?
Uh,
I think we have it already.
It is one of the most boring, agonizing, violin music, make you want to scream that you're ever going to go through.
But it's only about an hour. You can suffer through.
But at the end, it'll ask you to print off your training certificate. Once you do that, if you will, give those to Catherine, because that has to become part of the permanent record.
Yes.
It's not video, I'm assuming?
It is a
Okay,
video,
good,
yes.
thank God.
Well,
Okay.
there's also a written, but there's a video.
Okay, good.
And I think it's broken up to, some of the written is in between segments, I think, I'm not positive.
But it's good information to understand how meetings, public meetings happen.
And they have to be posted 72 hours, which is, if you're having them on Thursdays, it has to be posted
By Monday,
by
6:30
6:30 PM on Monday.
Okay, meetings.
Or if you want me to post it by 5 PM on Monday.
Exactly.
So 72 hours prior.
72 hours.
Prior to the meeting, yes.
Okay,
Which I
72.
think that will get discussed in that training too. But that's why Thursdays is always,
Good.
Thursdays or Fridays are always good days. Otherwise, someone's having to come down here on the weekend to post it.
Yeah. And when we say post, there's two things that happen. Gets posted on the website, but it also gets posted on the fence at the gate.
Okay,
And that's old school, that's how we've been doing it,
Yeah.
and it's a taming of the masses. At least we have a place to post it. Okay, so back to what you're doing here. So you talked about agenda, meetings, and minutes. You need to designate somebody as the secretary to be able to,
Who's good at listening to the recordings and typing up the minutes?
I'll give it a go.
Give it a go.
I'll second that.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can put down that
Yay.
he nominated himself and John seconded it. Good job, Pedro. And I'm here to help you.
Right.
This is an example.
Okay.
So she took like the agenda like this. She spaced it, and then she just put bullet points in a different color.
Okay.
That was easy enough.
Yeah, it is, and she can send you the Word doc version of the agenda.
Okay.
I can even prep it for you if you want with spaces and whatnot.
That would be nice.
Okay, so
Do you
the
need help?
agenda, the meetings, and the minutes.
We're all here to help.
Yes.
Okay, and then just remember, after the meeting, the minutes are done, and then they need to be the minutes need to be put on the subsequent
It's like to
meeting
approve.
agenda for approval.
Right.
Somewhere in there, isn't it? Don't y'all do?
I may not, I thought is it not on there under consent agenda? Unless we didn't,
here.
I didn't
Yeah.
have
So all
minutes
matters
to.
listed under.
Okay.
So approve minutes,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and then who
There.
made it, made the motion, approved it as written, unless they change something. Sometimes I might make an error, and then someone will say, well, this needs to be changed, so then you
Okay.
just write that out.
And those minutes, until they're approved by you all, are drafts.
They're draft.
Drafts are not subject to open records act,
Okay.
And they
which
don't
is
get
a whole
posted
nother ball of
anywhere.
wax you don't need to worry about. That's us.
They get posted after they're approved and signed
Okay.
by you and me.
Okay, so
The agendas,
There you go.
meetings, and minutes.
please address
Oh.
the chair.
Melissa?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't forget, you have a motion on the table that needs a vote.
So how do
Secretary.
For the secretary.
for the secretary?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So how
We
do
had a
I?
motion, and we had a second. Now we need a vote. All in favor?
So all in favor of
Show of hands.
show of hands. So all in favor, show of hands.
Uh-huh.
Is that how you?
For Mr. Kirkmer,
For
or Mr.
Mr.
Orduno as
Or
secretary.
Duno as secretary.
Okay. Unanimous. And then
And you get to vote.
Okay.
And you do
unanimous.
get to vote.
Okay. Cool.
And just from my experience, what Mickey does is typically when the motion's out there and for the recording purposes, she says whether it's unanimous or that way
Somebody
Pedro would have
abstains
the
or-
ability, because I mean,
Yes,
we
you
can't
can't
see
see.
it. So
Okay.
Exactly.
she usually will say out loud closer to there that,
It's unanimous.
Pedro's nominated himself, it's seconded by John, show of hands, unanimous.
She's just narrating basically the whole
The what
Exactly.
situation.
happened,
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
just for the,
And if somebody were to abstain, then I would say 3 in favor and Alderman Garcia abstain, something
Okay.
like that. So,
Okay.
because we've already established who's here
Okay.
up front. Okay. And
So-
good catch on that, though.
Thank you.
Ms. Shelton.
I'm
She's
I'm
getting
sorry,
good.
city attorney Yelton.
Our next mayor here.
Exactly.
No.
Bring it right, don't you?
Okay. So we got
I might have a
That's what my
few
next year and a half is all about, grooming.
6,
I heard
3,
that today.
Okay,
Okay. So number 7.
yes.
Okay. Discuss and or possible action on procedures for making recommendations to city council.
So I'll let you and Ken kind of hash this out on what you think
Once
might
you
work.
guys have taken an action on something that's on your agenda, at that point in time, if it passes, then in fact it goes to the council as to whether or not it will be put into effect or it won't.
Gotcha.
And that's relatively easy. You just take, much like you're doing, when you're doing with the minutes, so-and-so said that they wanted to vacate and replat X by a vote of 4-1. We recommend the council positively take action on our recommendation.
Okay.
It's like falling off a log.
Okay.
Now, but procedural wise, does it take any single member of the commission? Do we need a sponsor, co-sponsor?
No, ma'am.
Do they always have to come from the chair?
No, ma'am.
So they can come from anyone on the council
Any
or anyone on the
place on
commission?
the commission.
Okay.
And they would send that to whom?
One.
To you?
Okay.
Final approval is up to the council.
Yes, sir.
So the
we just
recommendation comes
recommend-
from the commission?
You recommend, council approves.
All right.
And a consideration, and it has been in some places, you need to understand that your actions are covered under our liability insurance. as long as you are operating within the confines of your job as a member of this commission. Now, if you go out front and shoot a developer, sorry, can't cover that. But for anything you do as a group, you're covered under that liability policy, which we will make sure that they're all nameless with TML.
You probably need to do that. Get in touch with TML and just ask them for probably E&O coverage at minimum.
What's that, employee?
Error and
Error
omission.
and omission.
Oh, E-N-O, oh, and O.
E-N.
It's a liability.
It is the
And
liability,
ampersand.
Yeah.
We have a general liability, but we also have an E&O, and that may be where it's covered. I'm not quite sure. So my suggestion would be anything that you send to Ken for recommendation on an agenda item, copy Catherine and myself as well. Between the three of us, we're always working to make sure that the agenda is properly formulated and we haven't missed something. So it's just a good
And
check.
if we wordsmith it or whatever, we'll make sure that you're okay with the wordsmithing before it goes on.
Yes, and any item that is placed, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay?
So when we do a preliminary agenda, let's say that you submit a couple of items for the agenda. On that agenda are going to be other items that are not for public consumption until it's published.
Yeah.
So how do we handle that?
The only way that you can preclude that is once the agenda is printed and with the attachments that go with it, that is a public record.
But I want the commission to be able to see what we have put on the agenda without exposing.
If you stamp
Everything.
it as draft, then it doesn't need to go anywhere.
And just so
Sure.
you all know what the whole issue is around this, because of Texas Open Meetings Act, the council, and by default, none of anything that goes on the agenda is up for any public discussion until it is officially published. So you may be privy to some things
Yeah.
that the general public is not going to see. So just discretion, don't share it, don't go out and lobby for anything, I mean, once it's published, I guess you can do whatever you want to do, but up until that
Yeah.
time. So that's just the other option would be perhaps whatever we reword it to be, that we send just those items that are going to be on the agenda back and just say, this is what we're putting on the agenda, is this what you are expecting to see?
With a stamp that says draft.
With draft, yeah. Okay.
I had a question when you were talking about that. Did we discuss how items are going on their agenda? How many it's going to take to get it on there? Just one? Okay, I missed it.
Anyone.
At one point.
Anyone on the commission can put anything
So
on
if
the
they
agenda.
email me to ask to put it on the agenda, I can just do
Just
so
put it
with
on.
them as the
Exactly.
sponsor? Okay.
And just as a
Are we gonna use our personal emails for communication?
yeah, we don't have,
We don't have enough
No, we
mailboxes
don't.
to
Okay.
create,
but
You can
I
almost
was,
create one and put your name and
yeah, you can create
like,
your own free email.
P and Z, like
Yeah.
john.pnz@gmail.com or
yeah,
something,
whatever.
Yeah.
or Sandy Oaks PNZ.
But I would also suggest that if, let's say, John, if you have an item you want to put on the agenda, I would copy the chair on that item as you copy the council for the agenda item. Just,
And-
it's important that you kind of know what
Know
the
what's
commission's
going on.
doing, yeah.
And if you want to put something on the agenda, as tempting as it may be, to share that idea with other members, don't. Because that is referred to as polling the commission.
That's
In a
illegal.
court of law, that'll be looked at that you tried to influence the outcome
Yes.
before the action was taken.
You mean I put something on the agenda without telling the rest of the people?
No,
Tell
you
the chair.
you can tell the chair.
Right?
But, so in the council, we have to always be very cognizant of something called a walking quorum.
Right.
So if one of the aldermen wants to bring something to the council, this has always been a sticky point for them to maneuver. They say, I need to get a co-sponsor for this. How do I do that? And I tell them, figure out what your what your item is, what you want to discuss, reach out to who you think might be somebody who would support it and say, I'm interested in putting something on the agenda that will address X. No details, just X. Would you be interested? And if they say yes, okay, now you can have a deeper discussion.
Yes.
But by not going deeper at that point, if they say no, no harm, no foul, you move over to the next person. But once think of it as a relationship. Once that a relationship has been established, you don't discuss that with anyone else because, again, we go back to
Wow.
Yeah.
quorum.
And if you send an email, do not hit reply all.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and you are best to use BCC. Let BCC
Yes.
be your friend,
That's
Right, right.
always.
Not
And that-
CC.
BCC.
BCC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do that fairly often, but at the very bottom, right by my thanks or whatever, I'll put
Who was BCC?
BCC all aldermen. So
'Cause
that way
otherwise
they
you don't
know
know
that
who got
everyone's
it.
getting this.
Gotcha.
And not to reply all. Or even if they do reply
It
all,
won't.
we're not a walking
If they
quorum.
reply all,
It won't.
it's only to who, usually the attorney, the clerk, the administrator,
Oh, okay.
myself.
Yeah.
All the aldermen are out of that. And they've actually done pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
early
I
on, we
know.
had some like, oh my God, don't shut that down, you know?
Or if you go through and like you build a group, don't hit reply all.
Reply all can get you in trouble.
Oh.
I mean, it's not that, there's the police hanging around looking
Yeah.
for something like that.
It's just in case.
But you've seen some of the stuff that goes on around here. There are
Yeah.
people who are laying in wait to pounce
Yeah,
at any
waiting.
given thing. We all make mistakes. We've had missteps. But nothing was ever deliberate. It was
Yeah.
not, what's the other word?
Malicious.
It was not
Yes.
malicious. That's the word I was looking for.
Intent, motive,
And we all
intent.
learn as we go, so. Okay, so back to making the recommendation. So anyone, yes?
Yes.
And I should say any one member. And it was addressed to the clerk, the interim city administrator, the P&Z chair, and the mayor. And do we need a motion on that?
Yeah, you're gonna have to
So we
remind
need-
me until I get
we
used
need-
to this.
Actually, somebody else needs to make the motion. I was just speaking out loud on what
Yeah,
the-
no, well, I gotcha. No, I'm saying, and we need to make a motion on, do I need to repeat? So this is, I'm gonna need guidance on this until I get the hang of it.
Want to
So
make a motion
on recommend,
that any one member can submit a recommendation or
Addition to the agenda
addition
in addition to the agenda.
agenda,
for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
sorry,
For the Planning and Zoning
for the
Commission.
Planning and Zoning Commission.
To be sent to whom?
Yeah, that's, I can't
Well,
remember all that.
Okay, so the chair, think of the lines of organization. So the
Okay,
chair,
the chair, the mayor, and P
Those
and
two.
Z.
those
oh.
two, not the whole P&Z.
Okay. The, going to the P and Z chair, the mayor, the
City clerk?
City,
city clerk, and
And the city
the city
administrator.
administrator.
yes.
Yes, sir.
No, you need a second.
I can- or he does.
So you have a motion.
No, yeah. Can you get a second?
Can I get a second?
I make a second to approve.
So you can then out loud say
So
Pedro
now I
or
have a
Mr. O'Donnell,
first.
however he wants to be addressed, can make, yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, so, Mr. what was-
Pedro.
Pedro, okay. So Pedro made, Pedro second
His motion.
his, John's motion.
So usually what I say is John Crickmer has made a motion to
John
recommend
Crickmer
that
has made a
any
motion.
one member can put an item on the agenda and.
So you repeat it.
You repeat that, and then I say, and we have a second by Pedro
Okay.
Orduna. And then all in favor, show of hands.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna take a couple
It-
times.
It's, trust me,
Okay.
you're fine.
It's okay, you're doing fine.
And a lot of times, it's easy when they just read the actual agenda item. I make a motion to blah, 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 but this had some additions to it. So, yeah, then you just make your notes. then you
And
do it.
technically, in Robert's Rule of Order, you may what is it? I'd like to make a motion as presented.
As
On
presented.
item 7 as presented, and the second says, so moved.
Yeah.
It's very simple, easy peasy, but we like to make things a little more complicated.
Only
Okay.
for recording purposes. So now you need to take a show of hands for that motion.
Can I have a show of hands for the,
Okay.
Unanimous.
okay, unanimous. So
it was.
just, can I have a show of hands and then it's unanimous?
All in favor,
Okay, all in
yeah.
favor, for all in favor,
All in
okay.
favor, motion carries, passes, whatever you want to call it. Now, I do have a question on that. So, the publication of their minutes has nothing to do with the presentation of an item for the city council agenda. We don't have to wait for that.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay,
And then number 8, didn't we already do
We
that?
already done
Did
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess we did that up in.
With
when we
the
talked about
number
agendas,
4.
Meetings, and, yeah.
Okay, so when you come across an item on the agenda, you can just say, I'm going to pull item number 8, it was already addressed.
okay, let me do that. So
That one does not require a vote.
That one does not
I'm
require. a vote.
going, so I'm gonna pull number 8. It was already addressed. It does not require a vote. Okay.
Correct. And then anyone can make a motion on the last item there.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Now what you do is, and it only needs one
It only needs
motion.
one.
You don't need a second or a show
Okay.
of hands.
Okay, now you need a clock that tells you
We adjourned that.
the adjourned at,
At 7:13.
meeting adjourned at 7:13.
Okay.
And then we shut it off.
Good, very good.
I think I might go out and purchase a recorder, if I'm not gonna be attending these meetings.